Hello, world schooling families. Do you wish you had more opportunities to connect with others who understand the unique joys and challenges of traveling and learning on the go? Hi, I'm Susie, and I'm excited to invite you to a special virtual World Schoolers meetup happening Friday, August 8th at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is a chance for parents and kids alike to meet, share, and build community. We'll start with warm introductions, then move into small breakout groups to foster deeper connections. We'll finish up with a big group gathering, and the best part is you can join us for the whole hour or just pop in when it works for you and your family. To join this wonderful gathering, check the show notes, look for upcoming events on my website, or grab a calendar link directly from my Instagram bio. Can't wait to see you there. Also, if you're in Denver, Colorado, join us for the in-person World Schoolers Picnic on September 28th from 12 to 3. Look forward to seeing you. Now let's get on to the episode.
Hola and hello, I'm Susie, and welcome to the Wander, World School, and Slow Family Travel podcast, where we discuss the stories, logistics, and finances of long-term traveling families and the multitude of ways to learn and educate along the way. This week, we meet Anna, a mom of two who is currently on a year-long journey through Asia with her family. She gets real about the finances behind their trip, what it's like traveling with kids under 5, and why they traded their life in the U.S. for one of slow travel.
Welcome to the show. Please tell me more about you and your family.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. So my family and I, we started our slow travels back in September of 2024. And we were really looking forward to going out and exploring more. We had our eyes set on Central, South America, and quickly realized we need to change paths. It's a little more expensive than we thought. And we had a budget to stick to, right? We don't have an income right now other than one rental property in Arizona. So we have a budget that we want to stick to. So we changed paths and now we're in Asia.
So switched over to some of those more budget-friendly destinations.
It made a big difference. I'm telling you, Mexico was just a little bit cheaper than the US. And then we looked at Patagonia and I was like, that's just going to blow our budget right now.
You're traveling with your husband and 2 children that are under 5. Where are you guys from in the US? And what were you doing before you decided to take a gap year?
Yeah, we were living in North Carolina and we've lived there for the past 2 years. Before that, we were in Arizona for 8 years. And for the past 10 years, my husband and I have both been working as physician assistants. And that was a grind. We were going through 2020 with COVID. The hospital system has blown up. I did trauma critical care. He's done ER. And we were both like, where did our time go? We were working around the clock, day shift, night shift. So my husband really got into reading books and financial stuff during 2020 time. And we were like, we need to buy more of our own time. So we really did this to buy time for ourselves.
I'm also a nurse in Colorado, and I kind of the same journey where 2020 was hard. And I said, okay, I need to take a little step back. I have zero worries that I will not be able to find some type of work in the future. It makes it easier to take some time off in the meantime. So you guys saved up and then took off on this gap year. When did that planning start?
I think more of it started probably the year before. We went to South Africa and we spent a couple weeks there. And I was like, I think we need to spend more time here. What are we doing just spending 2 weeks here? This is ridiculous. There's so much to see. Even just driving along the southern part of South Africa there. So at that point, I was like, we need to figure something out. So we really dug in deep and said, what do we need to do? Looked into more finances and said, okay, let's start telling people slowly, buy our time, and then figure out what can we do to make this really happen? Which is scary when you're walking away from everything and you have to tell everybody. And they're like, are you crazy? What are you doing?
Did you have some family that had some questions or concerns at all?
Absolutely. My mom, she was just like, oh my gosh, I think my husband's family was the same way. Everybody's supportive, but at the same time, they're like, what are you doing? This is so off the wall. It's so different. I don't understand it, which I get. It's different. It's not the usual go to work until you're retired and then you go travel then. I'm like, no, it's different.
That's one reason I wanted to do the podcast. And once you start traveling, you actually meet other families that are doing similar things. Maybe it's not a full gap year. Maybe it's long-term traveling for years on end. But somewhere in between, there's someone else doing what you're doing. And it's nice to know that it's not so foreign, even if it is for some people. And that's okay too. We all get to decide what's best for ourselves. What have you found to be most beneficial during this time off traveling together as a family?
I think the most beneficial thing has just been that we have gotten this time together. My children have gotten really close to one another. They enjoy playing together now. They enjoy being together. I have had time for my own personal growth to focus on myself, which I'm like, wow, I have time to do something for me. And that's more than just like an hour workout or sitting on the back of my porch reading a book or something. I get way more time to invest into me and then my children too.
That sounds lovely. So we'll definitely talk more about where you are currently and what this trip looks like. But let's actually step back a moment. And I'd love to hear more about your personal travel origin story, such as your earliest travel memories or how your upbringing shaped your desire to travel now.
So I love this because my travel when I was little was just local trips. My mom really took the time to take us to Ocean City every year, and that was something that I just enjoy. That's like this little beach town in Maryland that everybody went to, and it was probably small back in the early 90s. And it was just a fun place to go. We just got time together. We just went for a week, and I enjoyed that. I didn't do anything international probably until like I met my now husband in 2014. And at that point, we kind of like took off and did our own thing. But it was really small and local and just spending time together as a family at the beach.
Are you drawn to beach and warmer locations now?
Don't hate me, but I do not like sand. I'm not a fan of it. I enjoy the beach because my kids like it. I will get into it. But if I had the choice, I just don't like the sand on the beach.
I actually hear you. I feel like we go to the beach and then there's sand everywhere for days and days. You're like, where did the sand come from? My favorite combo of that is like a pool near the beach because then at least the last thing you do is dip in the pool and it doesn't make it into the apartment or whatever. So very cool. And then you mentioned that you enjoy planning trips. I as well like find just as much joy from planning sometimes as taking the trip. Tell me more about what trip planning for you looks like.
Yeah, I probably pull in like a bunch of resources to try to figure everything out. Like I pull it from blogs, I pull it from chat, I pull it from Google to figure out where's the sun at, where are we gonna chase the sun, or shoulder season. I want to avoid like major rainy season. I probably put a lot of it on an Excel sheet and we look through it and figure out where's the best place to go because we have to stick in a set budget all the time. Because if it doesn't fit it, I'm like, we can't do this. We're just gonna go there, it's gonna be gone, then we have to go home.
It's a balance, extending the travels, filling it with things you enjoy doing. So let's talk about this current trip you've been on since September. Fill me in
Yeah.
on where you've been on this trip.
So we started out in Mexico. We did about 2.5 months there. And that was probably our most expensive part of the trip because we had no idea how we were planning and how we were spending. We were just acting like it was a vacation. And then we went to Guatemala, which was great. After that is where we shifted gears and we flew over to India for 2.5 months. Complete cultural craziness, totally different. Everybody calls it like an assault to all the senses, which is kind of what it felt like, even though it was amazing. And then we just went over to Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, and now we're in Java, Indonesia.
After this, where will you spend before you head back to the US?
I think we're going to go to Malaysia for 2 months and then we'll fly home from Singapore.
Okay. And how was the planning for this gap year? How far ahead have you been traveling?
I feel like I've had to go back and forth because I liked it when we were doing month by month, especially if we're already in a country. But sometimes we've had to plan farther out if I've needed like an onward ticket in a certain country. Indonesia needs a ticket saying you are leaving and they want a copy of that in your visa. Other places, like they don't care. And I'm like, great, that gives us the opportunity when we're done to say, where do we want to go next? So I keep going back and forth, which luckily my husband's very pleasant about because I keep changing where we're going to go. And he's like, okay, if you say so.
He's along for the ride with some of the planning and you're taking the lead. My husband's like, so where are we going this weekend? If you want to talk a little more about what are your goals for your journey?
So our biggest goal was to go more off like the beaten path. You have everybody who goes to all these Instagram worthy places. And when you go there now, they are full of tourists. They are full of people going to the highlights. And you go there and all the culture just feels like it's kind of gone away. The locals maybe have moved out. There's so much tourism. It just didn't feel like what we were going for our kids to meet people and to see how other people actually live other than these high expensive tourist places. So I really aim for off the beaten path, which has kind of led us to India. And we did Vang Vieng in Laos. So those places where I just was like, let's just go see what it's like. And it's been so nice in terms of doing that.
I would love to hear more about India because it's on our to visit list someday, but also feels a little overwhelming, A, because it's a giant country with so much diversity. Where did you guys spend most time and what would you recommend, especially if as a family we're trying to get out of those touristy or busier areas?
In terms of India specifically, I know everybody goes to the triangle where it's Delhi, Udaipur, Jaipur, and the Taj Mahal. Those are like the big hits. So we did go south down to Kerala for a month, and that's like this green place. It can be by the beach. Every 100 kilometers, even people in India say this, like it's a different culture, it's different people, it's different food. So you can go anywhere and you'll just meet a whole new culture of people. But we did Kerala and then we went up to the regular places like Udaipur and Jaipur and still massively enjoyed all of that.
Is there a favorite memory so far on your trip?
It was really neat when we got to go to the Taj Mahal with my little kids that they got to go see one of the seven wonders of the world and they had no idea. They didn't get it. They're just like, this is cool, but really, what's the big deal? I'm like, that's cool. They have no idea. It's no big deal to them, but they're still here and they're still enjoying it.
The photos look amazing.
It is massively impressive. I thought it would kind of be like, whatever, no big deal. Everybody goes here too, tourist thing. No, it's amazing. The colors are amazing. The symmetry is amazing. You get to walk into it. This was made so many years ago and is still absolutely beautiful.
There can be a balance between, of course, seeing those impressive sights. Right now we're living in Spain, and so there's a lot of conversations around over tourism. And so I get why people do want to go to the Sagrada de Familia in Barcelona. My suggestion is yes, go to the things that you want to go to because we're all individual. We get to make our own choices. But at the same time, maybe spend a little less time there and just at least spend a little more time where else that you're going to experience something that maybe you wouldn't have even known Spain can offer. So it's about striking a balance. And I think slow travel affords that from my experience is that it's not just like boom, 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 boom. What do your kids think about traveling so far?
My kids officially think they're not from the US anymore, which I think is hilarious. My 3-year-old says she's from Mexico, and I was like, that's great. And my other one, she just thinks she's from like another country too. So I was like, great. I love it. You guys just are already loving the world the way it is.
Global citizens. Learning and experiencing cultures can take all different forms on a trip. What's the learning been like for you and your family on this?
Sometimes we try to take the approach of we'll go somewhere ahead of time and maybe see like this really cool tourist attraction, right? And then we'll come home and we'll talk about it or we'll YouTube it and we'll pull it up and learn more about it. So that way they can be like, I saw this, I touched it, I got to look at it, walk around it. And then I get to see what the history was about, which really just kind of helps it pull together since they're not in that really academic traditional schooling part yet.
YouTube has been great for that because there's always so many videos that just supplement it and they can either be really kid friendly or at least short enough that a young kid could be engaged with it for a while. You mentioned some of the financial aspects, and I think that's important as families are getting inspired to do more slow travel or long-term travel. Behind the scenes of every trip is the financial and the logistical side of that. How are you mentioned you're funding your travels right now through savings. Tell me a little more about that piece, and then also any financial advice you have for someone who would like to travel a little more.
When we decided we wanted to do this like a year ago, we started looking into what we could do, and my husband went ahead and made us a separate account. So he put our money into a high yield savings account that we were able to put money into every month. And then when we got to a year, we were like, great, we have this money set aside. So we were able to save $100,000 to fund our year of travel. And that's been great. We've been able to supplement with that. We were renting out our house for the time being. We sold it in December once realizing that renting wasn't going the way we wanted it to. Let's just go ahead and sell it, let it go. So we did that, which added back into our pot. But I think for anybody who's looking into doing this, the thing that my husband and I feel like really helped us is just get really realistic with your finances of what they look like. You have no idea what they look like anymore since we all just kind of do ATMs or credit cards, and money is just more of like this abstract idea. You don't hold it, you don't watch it go anywhere in your account, you just abstractly think about it. So just being realistic about it makes a better idea. Make an Excel sheet. Say like exactly what's going in, going out, how much is left at the end of the month. What can you get rid of? So that way you know what you're realistically spending or what more can you save or let go of?
It's all about getting started, at least being clear on your priorities. You've used some credit card points and other ways to cut on costs as well.
When we went over to Delhi, India from the United States, we used points to get over there. So that ended up being completely free because otherwise that would have been thousands of dollars. And then actually going back home from Singapore to the US, we're again doing points. Otherwise, it's too expensive to fly halfway around the world.
Yes, it can add up, especially with a family of four or more. And then in terms of accommodation costs, what has been helpful for you in terms of budgeting for that?
Yeah, I would love it if we could go on Facebook and find us a rental, but I don't feel like we're there yet because we're only doing a month at a time and I'm just not versed in it yet. So I'm still using Airbnb. But I find that if I at least do a month at a time, I can get discounts, or even if I message the person and kindly ask if they would give a discount at all without any expectation, usually they're like, absolutely. If you're staying for a month, you have good reviews, I'm happy to give you a discount. And that's been really helpful.
To get a better idea of some of your spending, I think it's helpful to look at like 1 month snapshot of that. And you spoke about your month in Vietnam, and it looks like you guys spent about $3,030 for the month, which is amazing for a family of four. What did that include? And do you remember breakdown?
We have our Excel spreadsheets. My husband tracks
Perfect.
every single dollar, which is amazing. It's been really helpful because I'm not tracking it. In Vietnam, we split our time between Hanoi and Kappa Island just so we could get, the northern part of Vietnam, and then we went out to the coast. So our stay in Hanoi, it cost us about $1,200, and that was all in a homestay for the most part. And then Kappa Island was like $122 for 4 nights in a hotel room. And then if we're looking at groceries, we spent about $300. And we didn't do too many markets there, but groceries weren't too expensive at all. Restaurants, we went out of control here because the Vietnam food is so good between the cafes and just their food. We spent $400 there because this is the most we've spent on restaurants and food, but Vietnam was good for it.
It was worth it.
Transportation, we honestly use mostly just like Grab. That's the big app that they're using. So we spent about $270 there. All of our fun activities were $290. Healthcare, we use Safety Wing, and that like makes both of our children free. So that's like $130 for the month. And then we did some shopping of clothes because we needed, new clothes since we had nowhere else to buy them at that point. That was $100. So that was kind of, oh, and our visa. We got a 1 month visa. So it was $100 since we did an e-visa before arrival.
Great. And looking back at this budget, what worked with that budget, or what would you like to have seen
I
differently?
think the biggest thing is everything in Vietnam made sense. The reason why I shared this specific budget with you is because I was so happy with how it looked. Because if I look at my other ones, sometimes I can look at India, and a lot of our spending went towards accommodations there, and everything else was inexpensive. I look at Laos, and Laos was like $70 per day because we like to look at per day and then at month stay. But Vietnam, we lived like a great lifestyle, and we didn't spend that much. So I'm very happy with this budget. I don't know if I would change anything.
Yeah, no,
Maybe getting rid of the shopping of the clothes. We spent a good amount on shopping of clothes, but my husband's like, "What were you doing?" I said, "I don't know." So maybe the shopping of clothes, we'll let those go.
but sometimes it's nice to mix up what you're wearing, since obviously if you're traveling, you're probably wearing a lot of the same things over and over. So very cool. It's amazing to hear these numbers, just because for many families, they can maybe easily spend that on just rent or something. And yet this is an entire month of living. So I think that could be really helpful when people think of, and honestly, people can spend $3,000 on like a 1 week vacation. And so it shows that sometimes that slow travel can extend the trip longer and keep those costs low. Part of also keeping it real is just understanding that there are sometimes challenges or struggles with long-term travel. What are some of the things that you've experienced on this trip?
So the biggest thing for us is always when we're settling down in a new place, it's like you're moving into a new house all the time. You have to figure out, where are your groceries? Where are you going to go buy food? What's the transportation system like? If you're going to be haggling or negotiating with anybody, what does that look like? It's a new system every time you go somewhere, and you just have to figure it out because I have not found a good resource for this yet where somebody says, here's how you do it every place you go when you set up. You're just figuring it out. And that's a challenge. That takes a good week to figure out.
Has there been any accommodations that didn't work well for you that you had to switch on the fly? Or have you been able to pick places that ultimately were okay for you and your family?
I always put the same criteria in, but I do not always get the same results. I'll tell you what, when we were in India, we stayed there for a week and I stuck it out, but we picked this place in Delhi because I wanted to do it for the time change and it was a bad idea. But it had no windows in it. It's terrible for jet lag. It was cold. We were under blankets the whole time. This place had 400 reviews. The pictures looked cool, but it was not what we needed. And if we had to stay there longer, I would have been like, we need to leave. So I mean, you use the same criteria. It doesn't mean you always get the same results.
In those situations, I'm curious how your kids have reacted or responded.
I like to think that they're still oblivious to it because they don't say much about it. And luckily, they've just been like, where's my toy? Where's my Yoda player? Where's, this? Because they just want to play with something and read a book. Meanwhile, my husband and I are like, this is not fun. This is not good. The kids are up at 3 a.m. because they have no idea what time of day it is because there's no windows in this place.
It's more on the parents at that phase. Thankfully, kids are very adaptable. They can roll with those tough situations a little easier sometimes. But to talk about also the wins of family travel, what are some of the positive things that are working well for you and your family on this trip?
So I think the biggest thing for us is that we've done this full time with two little kids under 5. Like you said, small kids are very adaptable, which is very much a win for us, even though sometimes they have, hard times. Any kid does, no matter where you live. We've done it on a budget. We've set a budget and we've been able to stick with it since we've been at this a little bit longer. I feel like we've had a budget that we can win, and we do not have a set itinerary. And I love that, and that we've been able to do it and just be like, we're here long enough. We don't need a set itinerary and we can still enjoy this.
I love it. That sounds like some awesome wins and awesome ways to stretch a comfort zone when people are thinking, oh, with kids, I need to have a plan. And that's not always the case. They can roll with it as well. You have had some unexpected just recently.
Yeah, she got her foot stuck in the spokes of the bicycle when we were riding on. She was riding on the back of it. And immediately my husband and I looked at each other and we were like, it might be broken. And we had to find a hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to find a hospital in Thailand. But the healthcare was great. I was so happy with it. We have in the back of our mind everything that we expect from the healthcare. Our plan, you have a plan when you're, a professional, you're like, you need to do X, Y, and Z, right? They were already doing it. I was like, oh, thank you. Everybody just knows. It's just standard of care, which I love.
I think it is helpful to have a little bit of medical background when traveling because it just gives you a little bit of a lens to say, yes, this should get seen, or I think we're going to be okay, or some knowledge there because some of it, you're figuring out on the fly. So your daughter was lucky to have both of you and be in a place with great healthcare. I had to go to the hospital in Thailand many, many years ago, and it was very impressive, very affordable. It was great. So I think I even remember going to the hospitals in Phuket, and Joint Commission had a plaque there. Sharing resources can be very helpful in case a family is inspired for their long-term travels. What resources have you utilized either during your trip planning process or while you've been on this long-term journey to help things go smoothly?
We pull a lot in from other resources because I'm still trying to make how living abroad looks. But two big ones that I enjoy using is Globotrex that I look at for weather, and it tells us shoulder season, high season, do not go here. And it just it's color coded on the map. So I've enjoyed using that. So that way it helps us know where to go. And the other one, since we were learning how to navigate the train system in India, which we did horrible at when we started. It was the man in seat 61. He knows every train system on this website. And I was like, yes, we know what we're doing now.
I have heard of that one. And trains are so awesome. But if it's not the first choice of transportation for people in the US. And so, yeah, it can be a learning curve. You mentioned Die with Zero is a book that I also read probably around the same time frame that you guys read it. The seasons of life part has really resonated with me, especially with kids. There is a season with a 5 and 8-year-old or kids under 5 that will never be replicated. So it's important to take advantage of those opportunities when we have them. So, and you have an awesome blog I was looking over. I'm curious, what is your what is your writing process? Where do you fit the time in?
Well, I'm glad you love it. We're on the third time redoing the site. We
Okay.
actually gave it to somebody else. We
Okay.
were trying to put
So that's
a shop on there. So he's handed it over to somebody. So they're going to do it for us. I think they're going to use like Astra on
okay.
WordPress or something, like that site.
That's a trick. But you have the thoughts, of course, because we're all thinking
Yes.
all the time
Yes.
about this is great. I want to put this down, but I don't know when or how to. That's great. So if people want to connect with you more, where can they learn more about you?
What the things that I use the most are my Instagram. It's wanderlust.hawks on Facebook and Instagram. And then my blog site is wanderlusthawks.com. And we've been doing a good job keeping it up to date so far of everything that we've done just to try to tell everybody about our travels.
And you also have a free ebook. What would someone find in that ebook that could be helpful if they're planning for a trip?
So I made this ebook because it's something that I wish we would have had when we started out. It tells somebody about the visa process, about how to start this high yield savings account. So that way you know exactly what we did to build it. It tells you about how to get your Airbnb, how to rent a car abroad, because renting a car abroad is not like easy. Sometimes there are weird processes involved, and sometimes you can get scammed on people. So it's just giving people these tools that I really wish we had. It's all free. It's all the tools that we had just to kind of give everybody like the push to start.
Sometimes that's all it takes is some guidance to get over those major intimidating parts about planning, and then it gets easier for sure to go from there. I will make sure to link all of those in the show notes so people can get the ebook from you, check out your website, and follow you on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your travels together. One more question, actually. Where do things go from here? Like you'll head back, you sold your home.
Yeah. So all of our family's in North Carolina. So we're going to go home and rent there over the holidays. My daughter's like, I need to have my birthday at home. Okay, fair, fair. And then I think after that, we're looking into extending the long-term travel and maybe doing like 3 months at a time. Like, let's go slower than this month. This month at a time and setting up is starting to chew away at us. We need to go slower.
Yes. I find a lot of families get slower and slower. At some point, you're like, wait, we haven't left in a while, but that's okay too. I'll have to check in with you maybe in a year or so and see where your travels take you. But thank you for sharing more about your trip, and I'll make sure to put everything in the show notes so people can connect with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay in touch, okay?